Have you ever been in that spot where you just need to get a file off a computer, like right now, with absolutely zero fuss? Well, I stumbled across this article recently that was raving about a piece of software designed for exactly that. It's called Copyparty, and, well, let's just dive in and see what all the fuss is about.
I mean, come on, you just don't see headlines like that every day, especially for a utility tool. When a major tech site like How to Geek says something that strong, you can't help but lean in a little closer. What is it about this thing that makes it so special? It kind of makes you feel like you've been missing out on a secret.
And that's really the core promise, isn't it? Forget about complicated setups, forget about needing special hardware. We're talking about taking pretty much any device you own, your main laptop, an old Raspberry Pi collecting dust, whatever, and turning it into a working file server, and not in hours, but in seconds.
Okay, so let's tackle that first big claim, the speed and simplicity. How instant is instant, really? This is where Copyparty grabs your attention right from the get-go.
You know, what's amazing about this is just how short that list is. And it's not a summary. That's literally it. If you've got Python, which, let's be honest, is on most Linux and Mac systems already, and it's an easy install on Windows, you just run this one single self-contained file, and poof, you're done. The folder you're in is now live on your network.
And this is what makes it so portable and, frankly, so brilliant. Because there are no dependencies, no complicated installers, you can run this thing anywhere. We're talking about a tiny little Raspberry Pi Zero or a massive high-end server. The setup is exactly the same. That's practically unheard of for server software.
All right, so it's dead simple. But we all know what simple usually means, right? It means you sacrifice features. You get a basic file uploader, and that's about it. Well, let's just say Copyparty has a surprise for us, because this is where it completely flips the script.
Okay, just take a second and look at this list. It is absolutely wild. This isn't just a file server. It's got resumable multi-threaded uploads. It can act as a WebDAV, FTP, and TFTP server. It has a built-in media player with transcoding, thumbnail generation, file search, temporary shares. I mean, the list just goes on and on. This is a whole suite of networking tools all crammed into that one little file.
That list is a lot to process. So instead of just glossing over everything, let's actually take our time here. Let's pick just one of those features and really understand the level of detail we're talking about. Let's just talk about uploading files.
So here's the deal. Not all uploaders are the same. On the left, you've got your typical web uploader. We've all been there. You're uploading a huge video file, your Wi-Fi blips for a second, and boom. You have to start all over. But on the right is Copyparty's up 2K uploader. This thing is smart. It chops files into little pieces and sends them up. If your connection dies, or heck, if you restart your whole computer, it just picks up right where it left off. It even checks to make sure the data arrives safely and resends any broken parts. That's professional-grade stuff.
Okay, so it's easy to start, and it's way more powerful than it has any right to be. The next big question you should be asking is, well, who can see my stuff? How do you control who gets access to what without a massive headache? And the answer is actually really elegant. It uses this concept called volumes. Think of it like this. Instead of messing with your actual file system permissions, you just create a virtual mapping. You say, hey, this real folder on my hard drive should show up at this web address, and here are the rules for who can touch it.
And the rules can get super specific. You can set permissions for individual users or for everybody. Let's say you want to create a Dropbox where people can upload files, but you don't want them to see what anyone else has uploaded. Easy. You give them write permission, but not read. Or maybe you want to share a direct link to a file without letting them browse the whole folder. That's the get permission. It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful.
Now, of course, with any server, security should be top of mind. The How to Geek article makes a fantastic point here. For an extra layer of protection, you can run the whole thing inside a Docker container. This basically puts Copyparty in its own little sandbox, totally isolated from the rest of your computer. It can only see and touch the folders you explicitly tell it to.
But speaking of security, the article did bring up one pretty major concern, and it's a really valid point that we absolutely need to talk about. Yeah, that's the one. Storing passwords in plain text is a gigantic red flag. It's the kind of thing that makes you stop and think, oof, okay, maybe this is just a toy, after all, and not for anything serious.
It's a totally fair criticism of how it works right out of the box. But with powerful tools like this, the default settings are often just the beginning. So what happens if we dig a little deeper?
And this is where we see that hidden depth again. It turns out, while plain text is the default for simplicity, Copyparty has built-in options to use Argon 2 hashing, which is a super strong, modern way to protect passwords. You can enable a flag to let users change their own passwords. You can even plug it into external authentication systems using things like OAuth. So that gripe? It's not a flaw in the tool. It's just a default setting you can and probably should change for serious use.
So what we're seeing is this pattern, right? It's incredibly simple on the surface, but it's hiding all these powerful advanced features. Why? Why is it built this way? Well, that takes us right to the core philosophy of the whole project.
I just love this quote from the developer's notes. You know the classic Unix philosophy, do one thing and do it well? Copyparty throws that out the window on purpose. It's a Swiss Army knife. It's not trying to be the single best file-sharing tool or the best media server. It's trying to be a pretty good version of all of those things, all at once, in one convenient package.
And that's really the whole point. This is your digital multi-tool. It's for that time you find an ancient computer in a closet and you just need to get the files off it, fast. It's for when a friend says, hey, can you quickly set up a way for me to send you this huge file? It's all about versatility and getting the job done right now, not about being perfect.
So I guess that's the thought I want to leave you with. We live in this age of beautiful, polished, single-purpose apps that do their one thing perfectly. But Copyparty is a powerful reminder that there's still a huge place for the rugged, adaptable tool that can solve a dozen different problems, even if it only does them okay. And honestly, it seems like a lot of people were waiting for exactly that.